Well, good morning, everyone. How you doing on this terrific Tuesday, May 30th, year 2023? Hopefully doing outstanding. Yeah, this is Mazske Finance coming to you from Florida still for the moment. Yeah, I got to go under the knife this morning. Yep, went to a plastic surgeon. Can't you tell? New face. Shoulder augmentation. Just kidding. On that part, on the face too. Now I had two spots on my back. Remember I went to the dermatologist a while back. They took a little, used a razor blade, cut two little spots out. They were benign. But then she recommended to be preemptive. Go to the plastic surgeon, let him cut a little deeper just to make sure and whatnot. And then they can stitch them up. So that way it's not too bad of a scar. But then they'll send that to the lab too. So if in 2 weeks I come back on here and say, oh no, I got melanoma. Okay, something came back positive, but I'm not expecting that. So anyway, with that being said, I am not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm going to talk to you about why we all need to invest. Why we all need to invest. There's multiple reasons why we need to invest. Improve our quality of life, improve our standard of living, that sort of thing. To be better next year or in 10 years than we are today. To be in a better position, because so many people work until they're elderly and then they die soon after. Okay? Something hit the headlines yesterday. I follow baseball. Former Oriole Mike Young played back in the 80s when I was attending like 50 or 60 games, Baltimore Oriole games in a 2-year period. So I know I saw him play and I remember his name and remember him vaguely. He just passed away. He's 63 years old. They didn't announce the cause of death yet, but 63 is still pretty young, right? Still pretty young. I know of other people who are dying at a young age. Liam Hendriks, he's a all-star closer, Chicago White Sox, I believe. He just came back to baseball. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And he's, I think, in his late 20s, early 30s, getting cancer. Trey Mancini, Baltimore Orioles, had colon cancer a couple years ago. 27 years old when he was diagnosed. A 31-year-old former running back at Denver Broncos died of kidney cancer. I forget his last name, the actor in Black Panther, died at age 43, colon cancer. And so on, and so on, and so on. So many people are dying young. So how does that relate to investing? Why be wealthy if you don't live to be 100? Why? At least you can't guarantee you're going to live to be 100, but you have to try to do your best. Okay? I still read the newspaper for the time being. Okay? And people tell me I'm old school. Blah, 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 blah. So on and so on and so on. How does that relate to investing? I'll tell you how. Let me show you some stuff just in today's paper. I was reading it before I went to my early morning appointment and whatnot. But front page story on this newspaper. Let me fold that down. And remember, headlines, it's the media. They can use not big words, but they'll try to make things sound dramatic. They dramatize things, okay? But yet there's truth too. You got to read between the lines and stuff. Ignore these dramatic headlines. There's truth sometimes. Sometimes they're just exaggerated. But this one, if you can read that, if it's not backwards to you, it looks backwards to me. No fast end to cancer drug shortage. 2 main drugs, I guess, for chemotherapy. They have a shortage. Do you see something wrong with this picture? 2 main drugs for chemotherapy that they use to treat cancer. There's a major shortage. From reading the article, there's a major shortage all around this country. Yet, we have more Americans than ever getting cancer. There's something wrong with that. More Americans in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s and 50s are getting cancer. There's a drug shortage. Maybe if so many people took care of themselves, they wouldn't get skin cancer. Same newspaper, different section. Melanoma can show up in many places besides skin. Melanoma. It can develop in your mouth. It can develop in other places that aren't exposed to the sun. So on and so on and so on. Okay? Same newspaper. Different article. And the reason I'm highlighting this is I'm a tech guy. I was an electronics technician back before some of you were born. I became an electronics technician in 1987, 1988. I was in school studying electronics. I stayed in the Navy till 1996 as an electronics technician. I troubleshot computers. Big stuff, little stuff. I was a calibration technician. I fixed different stuff. Okay? I use computers. I got my first personal computer in 1995, Windows 95. I use DOS a little bit, coding, hashtag, blah, blah, blah. I wrote some basic DOS stuff. Okay. I understand software. I understand phones. I've used ChatGPT or whatever it's called. I've played with that a little bit. Okay. I bought my first AI device in 2015. Okay. 8 years ago. All right. I've used technology a lot. I was scrolling the internet when most of my peers were not using the internet. Okay. I love the internet. I was telling people to Google it before they knew what Google was. Okay. So if you want to tell me I'm old school because I read newspapers, again, blah. You don't know where you come from. Because you can find a wealth of information in newspapers around this country. More than ever, they are doing in-depth articles. Okay, why do I say this? Because when you look at your phone screen or a tablet screen or a computer screen, you see links. Odds are, time is tight, you skip over links. When you get a newspaper, especially if you know how to read, and most young people nowadays don't read, you got a front page. You flip it open, you got sections, multiple pages. You can skim the articles. They look more interesting because now you're seeing the article, not a link, and you can start skimming it and read stuff that you will never read when you're looking at whatever your favorite site is to find out some local news. Okay? So in this same newspaper today, they have a training article on exercise training using body weight exercise. They have circuit training. All right? 3 circuits. They say do each exercise for 30 seconds, take a 10-second break, move on to the next exercise. When you completed the 3 exercises in each circuit, you take a 30-second break and do the next one. And they recommend, and after you do it all, you repeat it twice. So you go through it twice. Okay? I'm going to tell it to you real quick. I'm not going to do this. I'll do a modified version of it. Circuit 1, jumping jacks, squats, push-ups. Circuit 2, high knees, lunges, plank. Circuit 3, burpees, bicycle crunches, wall sit. You do it all, and you repeat it. Okay? I'll be doing that somewhat. I'll modify certain things in there. How does that relate to investing? We have to keep ourselves in shape. Okay? The doctor this morning, I'd had my shirt off because he worked on my back. He said he made a comment about me being in shape. And probably because he knew my age. And probably because most people my age are what? Overweight. Okay? Again, how does this relate to investing? If you're younger than me, if you're in your 30s right now, and you're not working towards keeping yourself in shape, if you're not eating correctly, if you're not trying to strive to eat 30 plants a week, you may not make it to my age. You may say, but the doctor says I'm a prime specimen of health. They told me the same thing. When I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, up to 8, I get comments in my 40s from nurse year after year because I had annual physicals. What medicine are you on? You're not on any medication? And then they started asking me, time I was 45, you're not taking any medication? I'm now 55. I am not taking any medication. If you're younger than me, ask your parents, are they on medication? If you're my age, are you taking any medication? All right. Do you want to be an investor? If you want to be an investor, the goal should be to become wealthy. Then you need to set a goal. Get a pad of paper. I got a pad back there somewhere. Write down your goals. Set goals that you want to live to be a 100. Maybe it's 120. Okay. How are you going to do that? How are you going to go from wherever you're at right now? If you have 4 houses, how are you going to go to 5? If you have 10 houses, how are you going to go to 11? If you have 7, how will you go to 8? How much do you have in cash reserves? If you want to get your first, how do you get your first? How much do you need in cash reserves? How do you get a mortgage? What market do you buy in? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to invest in mineral rights, then you need to have a net worth of $1 million. If your net worth is $5,000, how do you get to $1 million? Set goals. I can help you. If you have questions, put them below. I will try to make videos to respond to your questions. I went from 0 to 25 rentals in 4 years. I was not wealthy. I had used very little money out of my pocket, and I still did it. And now I'm a multimillionaire. Okay? Again, I'll repeat. If I can do it, you can do it. You don't have to be in a rush. You can take your time. If If you start when you're 25 and buy your first house, when you're 26, buy your second, when you're 27, buy your third, when you're 28, buy your fourth, when you're 29, buy your fifth. Time you're 30, you got your sixth. If you're ahead of that pace, you're doing well. If you're behind that pace, that's okay. Just start. Because once you get your first, you took the first step. Congratulations, I'll shake your hand. You took the first step. And if all you get is one, you're doing better than probably 75% of Americans. Okay? But first, take care of yourself. Put your health number one priority. That's what you got to do. I've had a kiwi today. I've had 1 cup of tea so far. I've had 1 cup of coffee. I've had a bowl of oatmeal. I've had blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. I've had flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. I've had some soy milk, walnuts, cashews, peanuts. That's it so far. And I'm starting to get a little hungry again. And I was 143 pounds this morning. I eat a lot of food. I'm 143 pounds. I burn calories. Why? I exercise. I'm not a marathon runner. If I do that circuit training, you're not going to see me high tempo, fast. Because when I see people do that, a lot of times they end up burning out. They end up getting hurt. They don't stick with it. I'm like the rabbit in the hare. I'm the hare. I just keep plugging along. The surgeon and the nurse this morning asked me, what do I do? I told them I'm retired. They looked at me. They said, what did you retire from? What kind of work do you do? I told them I was in the Navy and I was a cop. And I said, I'm also an investor, and that's how I live here. I live off my investments. And they questioned me on that. The doctor, who's a surgeon, asked me what kind of investments I make, and we chatted about it. He looks to be older than me. He's still working. I'm sure he has a high income. I'm sure he has a high income lifestyle. And maybe he's not ready to be retired. But I can see from his eyes, they envy me in a way. The nurse envied me in a way, because here it is, 3-day weekend. Early in the morning, they looked half asleep in a way. They're back to work. Like you might be back to work today. All right. So with that being said, I'll wrap this up. But that's why we need to invest. We need to take care of ourselves, and we need to invest. Have a great day. Maskies signing out.